like to call our meeting to order. It is 6 p.m. and I can declare that we do have a board quorum present. Brazosport Independent School District's mission statement. Our mission is that BISD graduate each student to be future ready. If you will please stand for our invocation and our pledges of allegiance. Our invocation will be led by Mr. Chris Dunn, and our pledges of allegiance will be led by Mr. Ken Schulte.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to you now, Father, just so thankful for our country, for our community. Father, even though we get close to Thanksgiving this next week, Lord, my prayer is that each day that'll be the first thing on our hearts is just Thanksgiving and just praising you for all that you do. Father, I just thank you for all of our visitors and our recognitions, Lord, and just the business that we have to take care of. I just pray that all that is said and done will be to your glory. Father, just forgive us what we say. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
I'd like to ask our board to begin making its way to the front as we transition into our awards, achievements, and recognition time. We will now move to our Kevin's not here.
This evening, it's time to recognize our November Spotlight teachers. The purpose of the BISD Educator Spotlight Award is to recognize outstanding teachers across our district. When I call your name, if you could come stand next to Superintendent Massey. Our secondary Spotlight teacher is Marilyn Broadus from Brazosport ISD. Our elementary spotlight teacher is Lacey Fletcher from Stephen F. Austin Elementary. Ms. Broadus is described to have a true love for working with students and always has a smile. Her peers stated that working with Mrs. Broadus is an inspiring experience. Her incredible teaching style and genuine love for her students create an environment where learning thrives. She brings enthusiasm, dedication to every lesson, making a real difference in her students' lives. Mrs. Fletcher is gifted at developing relationships with the students that she serves. She also takes the time to build positive relationships with all of the students on campus. Her peers describe her as an amazing team player who's welcoming, supportive, dedicated, and always has a positive attitude. Thank you both for your service.
Sound of champions, isn't it? No school board members, Mr. Massey, and guests, it's with immense pride and excitement that we recognize the outstanding achievements of our Lady Buck water polo team, the 2024 UIL state champions. Some of you will recall that we've been in this same position now for 3 years in a row, which is outstanding. This victory is a testament to their hard work, dedication, and the relentless pursuit of excellence both in and out of the water. Led by head coach Robert Brown and assistant coach Kyle Hayner, the team demonstrated exceptional work, perseverance, and sportsmanship throughout the season. Their journey to the championship was marked by overcoming challenges, setting high goals, and representing our community and school with the utmost pride. A few season highlights of note. The team finished the season with an impressive 28-2 record. The only blemishes were to Foster, a well-known team of ours, and back-to-back defending state champions, who we knocked off in the state championship game. Key victories included a 14-8 state semifinal victory over South Lake Carroll, the team that defeated this group last season in the same game. And then the final 11-9 overtime state championship victory over Foster. Some team facts since the addition of water polo as a UIL sanctioned sport in 2022. The Lady Bucks were 22-4 and the state runner-up in the 22-23 inaugural UIL water polo season, and those 4 losses came to that same Foster team that we knocked off this year. The Lady Bucks followed that with a 26-3 record in the 23-24 season, bringing home the bronze, and those 3 losses were combined only to South Lake Carroll and to Foster. The Lady Bucks entered this 24-25 season with a state championship purpose. The Lady Bucks ended the season with a 28-2 record, having only lost to Foster. These outstanding competitors overcame the monkey on their backs by defeating a great Foster team in that game that mattered the most. The Lady Bucks hold a 76-9 record over the last 3 years, with 7 of those 9 losses coming from Foster, which is another reason that game on October the 26th was so special. And I'd just like to point out, you want to compete against top caliber teams. That's the reason that they're successful and they get to those games. So we want to find those teams and compete with them as often as we can to prepare us. This championship is more than just a title. It has brought our school and community together in celebration of what can be achieved through determination and collaboration. The team's success is also a reflection of the tremendous support from our families, staff, and fans who cheer them on every step of the way. We would like to take this moment to thank our outstanding water polo families and fans for their unwavering support throughout the season. You show up consistently to support these young ladies. Thank you all. Okay, let's meet the girls. So please join me in congratulating our girls water polo team for their historic achievement. We are incredibly proud of you. At this time, we will introduce our players in number order. Number 1, Gigi Lauer. Number 2, Hope Kattlecheck. Number 3, JT Ford. Number 4, Mallory Cutfoot. Number 6, Sarah Mitterling. Number 7, Lexi Mikan. Number 8, Anna Royshilly. Number 9, Emma Maservi. Number 10, Sophia Guajardo. Number 11, Allie Jones. Number 13, Larissa Bracken. Number 14, Emerson Montgomery. Number 15, Michelle Evie. Number 16, Ava Crisp. Number 17, Lucy Sanchez. Number 19, Cooper Dane. Number 20, Kesley Korn. And And we also have with us tonight assistant coach Kyle Hayner. And everybody knows the great head coach Robert Brown.
Before we take a picture, I got to tell you this story because I told the coach a couple times, but I have a couple of board members from Lamar Consolidated that over the years they have talked to me about how good we were, but we did win. So last Wednesday I got to see them and tell them that I'm sorry that they lost, but I appreciate their effort, and I did tell them that how respectful they were.
Yeah,
so
they were great.
I just want to say to the girls and the coaches, thank you for allowing me to gloat.
Yeah, let me switch places right here. I won't be in the picture. You see? Not too tall, not too short. Yeah. I'm gonna have more driving the bus. Lexi next to me.
I know they made us pick up between.
You should be in the Come down here with me. There you go, Lexi. Thank you. There we go.
I'm gonna just there, so I have you, yes. Now the board members back there, all right, Mr. Dunn, just right here, just maybe right in this spot. Yeah. Yeah.
Reinhardt said I couldn't.
Yeah. Reinhardt, sit over this way, please, sir.
This way?
Yes, no.
I can see over, Mr. Dunn.
Forgot. Yes, and then I'll take it and anybody else as well. Okay. Oh my, I've got to go back. All right, great. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Anybody else as well? Your teeth now.
All right, that concludes our awards and recognitions for this evening. Our next item is audience with individuals. In accordance with BED Local, the board provided an audience with individuals who have signed up prior to the meeting to address the board. Tonight we have 2. Our first person to address the board is Amy Peak.
That's correct.
All right.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, greetings, board members. And your meeting.
I
Made last minute changes to
I'm sorry, I have a little bit more I have to read.
Oh, sorry.
No, that was me. Mr. Atkins will serve as our timekeeper for those who request to speak to the board. Comments are limited to a maximum of 5 minutes per speaker or a maximum of 30 minutes total allotted for public comment. Delegations of more than 5 shall appoint a representative to present their views to the board. The board will not entertain negative comments on individual personnel or students in public session. Patrons are encouraged to use appropriate campus and administration channels before bringing concerns to the attention of the board. Board members are not allowed to deliberate, discuss, or make decisions regarding subjects not included on the agenda. Turn it over to you, Ms. Keith.
Okay. I did make some last-minute changes, so I'm probably going to fumble my notes. So, I'm here to ask the board to consider what is and is not appropriate in regards to BISD staff posting students on their personal social media pages. And I do want to make a distinction between personal pages and BISD-owned pages.
We have to have those doors open.
That's
Public meeting, we have to have them open. Sorry, ma'am. This won't be your time. We have to have them open. Thank you. Go ahead.
And while it is a particular teacher that I had in mind, I'm not here to blast her or ask for any action to be taken against her specifically. She recorded some students doing PE exercises and activities. She posted them publicly on her personal TikTok and Facebook pages. I questioned my son about it, and he said he didn't want to be in her videos. And since this was on her personal pages, I was wondering if there was a violation of the employee handbook. So I emailed the principal, and he stated that there was no violation, and that I would need to update my enrollment form to remove consent, and then he would have the teacher remove any videos that include my children. It was my understanding that the consent that I gave to the school at enrollment meant that my child might be posted on the school page or school website, not that any of the BISD staff could use my child for their personal TikTok content. TikTok users have the potential to make money from views. The TikTok page and similar apps are my main complaints. However, some parents have concerns about privacy. Of the hundreds of students that were shared, I'm wondering if all of their records were checked to make sure that consent was given. And if anything, I feel like the consent form that we sign at enrollment should clearly lay out what we are consenting to. If we are consenting to them to post on their personal pages, then that should be clearly stated. And I am aware that coming up with a policy to address this issue would be quite a challenge. And like I said, while it's a specific teacher that led me here, it's something that affects all of us as staff because we are parents and we go to sports events, band events, and other activities. We take pictures of our kids with other students there, and where is the line supposed to be? However, with all of the social media apps out there, I think that is a conversation that needs to take place and a clear policy put into effect. And that is all. Thank you.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Good issue.
Thank you, Ms. Peak. Our next speaker to address the board is Mr. Wes Tidwell.
So I guess I'm here to address the possible closing of Stephen Fawcett. The school is the heart of our town, okay? There's a lot of people that have moved to Jones Creek just to have their kids go to Stephen Fawcett, and we've gone there in the past. I think we even have a board member of their kids went there for that reason. We are asking the board to, y'all got creative at the beginning of the year with some things you did with the teachers. We appreciate that. But there's got to be something that we can do to keep that school open. We talk about a community school. Well, this is a community school. We're not in Lake Jackson. We're not in Freeport where you got an elementary school another mile away. We're several miles away. And for that reason alone, we should keep that school open. We realize about the issue with the money. We understand that. But there's got to be something that can be done to make that better. I know y'all tried, but we can't stop trying, okay? We just can't just say, that's it. Closing of schools, that hurts in many different ways. We talk about vouchers. We don't want vouchers. This encourages vouchers. We talk about homeschooling. Well, we want to build the ISDs, but this encourages homeschooling. We need to show that this district can keep schools open, not close schools. I have a friend works in the chemical industry. He was transferred here a couple years ago. He's moving back. He called me the other day to have lunch, and he's lived in Lake Jackson, but he's not coming back to this school district. He made a point to say that. I didn't talk to him about anything that was going on with us, but it's kind of interesting that he said that he's moving to Angleton instead. And, you know, we need to do something to encourage rooftops. And closing schools does not encourage people to build rooftops. In Jones Creek, we do have an opportunity for some subdivisions to go in. We got people looking. Once the highway is done, it's probably going to happen. And you can look at several examples around our area that's growing like crazy because of the highway, and we're one of them. If you look at where the expansion of BISD for rooftops, it's us. We got the land. And so I'm asking y'all to look a little bit more, look a little harder, look a little bit more creative, and try to get this done. BISD has a lot of good stuff going on. Your vocational schools y'all have, second to none. But a lot of people don't even know about those. When I start talking to people about that, they have no idea. They have no idea what y'all are doing. They know what Angleton's doing. They know what other schools are doing. But they have no idea what BISD is doing. That may encourage people to come here. But please reconsider and try to get creative about trying to keep the school open.
Thank you, William. All right. Next thing on our agenda is a public hearing. Ms. Ludy Cancino. We will ask her to conduct a public hearing to discuss the school financial integrity rating system of Texas. State law provides that a public meeting be held to discuss this topic, and public participation is invited at the conclusion of the presentation. Ms. Cancino.
Thank you. Good evening. In accordance with board policy, CFA Legal, it is my pleasure to facilitate the public hearing for our 2024 Annual Financial Management Report, or more commonly known as our first rating, which stands for Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas. Included in your agenda documents is a full copy of the report. Under School First, districts report certain financial data to TEA, including the district's annual financial report. TEA assigns a financial accountability rating to each district. Then within 2 months, each district must announce and hold a public meeting to distribute the report that explains the district's performance to taxpayers and parents. Sorry. The School First was developed by the Texas Education Agency in response to legislation passed in 1999. In 2006, performance under School First was added as a consideration for accreditation along with academic performance. School First provides additional transparency to public education, finance, and meaningful financial oversight and improvements for school districts. Pursuant to Texas Education Code requirements, the Commissioner of Education has adopted rules to implement and administer School First. The state added a new indicator this year, so there are now a total of 21 indicators. Districts may receive one of 4 accountability ratings. The first one is an A rating for superior achievement, a B rating for above standard achievement, a C meets standard achievement, and an F for substandard achievement. TEA will base a district's rating on the district's overall performance, on the financial measurements, ratios, and other specified indicators. The ratings are based on data from the immediate prior fiscal year. This data includes the district's annual financial report, team state data, warrant holds, and the district's average daily attendance information used for school funding purposes. Last year's rating system introduced ceiling indicators that must be met, or the max rating is applied for that indicator. The first 5 are designated critical indicators and must be passed in order to avoid an F rating. There were no changes to these indicators, which are as follows. Indicator number 1 is the timely filing of the annual financial report, or the AFR, and the data feed. Number 2, an unmodified opinion and no material weakness in the AFR. Number 3 is the compliance with payment terms of debt agreement. Number 4 is a timely payment to government entities. And number 5 is an unrestricted net asset balance greater than 0. BISD passed all 5 critical indicators. Indicators 6 through 14 are solvency indicators. Indicator number 6 is measuring for any rapid decline in fund balance over a 3-year period. This is also a ceiling indicator, and if not passed, the highest rating we could receive would be a B. Indicators 7 through 14 are scored either 0 or 10, and some of which are scored on a sliding scale from 0 to 10. Indicator 10 is measuring budgeted revenues compared to actual revenues. There was some discussion back in the 86th legislative session on how conservative school districts were when estimated budgets. So they are now measuring the budget to actual variance. Indicator 14 measures for a rapid decline in student to staff ratio. Due to the pandemic, rapid changes to enrollment in ADA, TEA is not measuring indicator number 10. BISD received a total of 80 out of 80 points on these indicators. Indicators 15 through 21 are financial competence indicators. Indicator 15 is measuring average daily attendance projections made by the district prior to each legislative session. The legislative budget board uses the projections made by districts when developing the state's budget, so tying a first indicator to our projections holds us a little more accountable for the accuracy. Due to COVID, this indicator was not scored. Indicator 16 was changed to a ceiling indicator a few years ago, and if not met, would yield a maximum rating of a B. We had a 0% variance on our PEAMS financial data submission. Indicator 17 is also a ceiling indicator to ensure districts maintain a strong set of internal controls over financial reporting. This is tested during our annual financial audit. If not met, the maximum rating would be a C. Indicator 18 is also evaluated as part of our annual financial audit, and is set to ensure all federal and state grants are properly accounted for and in compliance with program guidelines. Indicator 19 is reporting that all required notices and postings were made on the district's website. Indicator 20 places a requirement on administration to discuss property values and the use of such on funding formulas during a board meeting prior to adopting the annual operating budget. Indicator 21 is new this year, and it reports if a district received a repayment schedule due to financial hardship, and the district did not receive an adjusted repayment schedule. BISD passed all financial competence indicators, earning the maximum of 20 points. How did BISD rate? Brazosport ISD has once again earned the highest achievable rating with a perfect score. I would like to thank our Board of Trustees for providing strong governance in the areas of budget and financial management oversight. I would also like to thank Mr. Massey and Ms. Rebecca Kelly for their leadership, and Kaylee Chris, our Director of Finance, for supporting the daily operations of our finance team. The information provided by the Schools First system will guide us in our continued efforts to utilize each taxpayer dollar to maximize quality learning opportunities for every student. This is a public hearing, so at this time, I am happy to answer any questions from the board or any comments from the public.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I have one. At 10, is that new this year? The variance on revenue?
It hasn't been scored.
I don't remember that. How many people are getting over 10? I mean, what are you misallocating students? Is that? putting too much on that, I guess? That'd be a pretty massive,
For number 10,
yeah, that'd be a pretty massive error rate on a budgeting standpoint, I guess, but I guess we have a bunch of influx, it'd be over, but,
But it's in the non-enrollment.
yeah.
right.
That's why we're advocating for enrollment,
I guess if you had it, if you had a bunch of absences in a district or a major event, I guess it could create some issues there, but is that adjusted during budgeting or throughout the year or not?
Throughout the, well, for reporting purposes, ADA is submitted in December. For example, this year, because we're going into a new biennium,
Yeah.
we will have to submit projections, and they are for the next 2 years. So they're submitted now for the next biennium,
Okay.
the next 2 years. So what they do is when we submit our actual PEAM submission, our summer submission, they compare the ADA from the PEAMS report, which is another indicator that's scored, against our projections.
Okay.
One thing I would assume the legislation will change this.
Yeah, I don't know,
I was looking, 1.47% of, districts are failed, which is like 17, you know, so it's like, and that's only 0.41% of the enrollment, so in other words, we're doing too good, so
Yeah.
legislators got to.
They're trying to catch us doing something.
Yeah, so anyway, but this is a great score, you know,
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
we've had this, we just need to keep it up, so. But yeah, I'm sure it may change soon.
How many years is this in a row?
21.
23 years?
23?
Thank
Good
you.
job. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the audience before we move forward? About the finances? About our rating? Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Moody. The next thing that we have on our agenda is our consent agenda. Are there any items to be pulled from the consent agenda before we vote on it?
Make a motion to approve.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Atkins. Do we hear a second? Second by Mr. Schulte. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. All right, the consent agenda passes. Thank you. Next item that we have on our agenda are action items. Public comments will be allowed before a vote is taken on each action item. Our first action item is the guaranteed maximum price for the new Brazosport High School pool. Ms. Kelly?
Good evening. In alignment with board policy CBE, it is my pleasure to present the guaranteed maximum price for the construction of the new Brazosport High School swimming pool. Due to the structural concerns, the Brazosport Natatorium was temporarily closed back in April. We understood the inconvenience that this was going to cause and immediately began working on possible solutions. After engaging engineers and architect teams, the necessary repairs to reopen that facility far outweighed the cost of replacing the entire structure, which was not ideal based on the current condition of the pool itself and the fact that it doesn't meet the current UIL standards for water polo. As such, we reviewed options with our architects to build a new outdoor pool where the existing natatorium is, and then also met with the city of Clute on the possibility of constructing it where the current city pool is at. While we appreciate the city's willingness to partner, we paused further discussion to evaluate building it behind the new state-of-the-art field house facility at Brazosport, which would provide direct access to our swim and water polo students to the new multi-sport field house with adequate dressing rooms, restrooms, weight room, and training rooms. After months of design and planning, which included extensive input from Coach Brown and Coach Zeller, the plan drawings and the construction documents have been completed by our architects. The district's construction manager at risk, Stewart Builders, which is also the same contractor who built the rest of the Brazosport project, has publicly advertised and received competitive proposals from the subcontractors and suppliers. Stewart Builders has provided a guaranteed maximum price for this project of $7,622,406, which is slightly under the $7.7 million that we were anticipating. Construction will begin after board approval this evening, and we look forward to opening the new pool in December of 2025. The new pool will be located just outside the doors of the new multi-sport field house, which has adequate locker and restroom facilities to serve the water polo and swim teams. The pool will meet UIL regulations and is a 25 by 25 stretch, meaning its competition area is 25 meters by 25 meters with 3 additional warm-up or practice lanes separated by a bulkhead. The pool will be temperature controlled and the equipment will be contained in a new equipment building, which will also have 2 restrooms included for added convenience for players and spectators. There will be 2 diving boards, a scoreboard, exterior lighting, and a perimeter fence that will enclose the pool area and video cameras ensuring the security and privacy. Although not pictured in this rendering, there will be plenty of bleachers to accommodate parents and spectators. These are some additional renderings, the 3D, of what it will look like. We'll add graphics to the building, lots of school pride, graphics to the perimeter fencing as well. And at this time, administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the guaranteed maximum price of $7,622,406 from Stewart Builders for Brazosport ISD. Be happy to answer any questions.
I know it was on the slide, but how is that being paid for?
So the board and our Citizens Bond Oversight Committee has previously approved a reallocation of 2014 and 2019 bond funds to cover the construction costs.
Are there any questions?
It's within that reallocation.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Comments?
Yeah, I do. I asked about the addendum, the 21st, and I got the answer. It was electrical and bill and stuff like that. So
Additional clarification?
yeah, yeah. Do we anticipate any disruptions during this construction, since it's gonna be in the middle of the field, but 9th grade access, egress, I mean, I assume Stewart's always worked well with, making sure they're out of the way when the time comes, so, but I assume that's been looked at, guessed at?
Yes, they'll manage that accordingly. We were able to construct the new Brazosport High School between the old campus and the 9th grade center with very few disruptions.
That's good.
So we will make sure that it's staged to minimize any possible disruptions.
I saw that included in the allowances was some pool subgrade remediation. I assume we did some samples of that area and everything was good. This is just kind of like in case, because it's got, 24 inches clay?
I'm probably not the best person to answer that. I don't know, Monica.
But isn't there a 24-inch clay bottom for the pool? Is that?
It's 12 inches, I believe.
12 inches, okay. But on the funding, definitely the Citizens Bond Oversight agreed and we passed it. Just to make sure that the money was from the Brazosport, but it was what? We had, what about that?
There was about $5 million remaining.
Right, but the 3.4 million was from Brazosport campus, and then the other 2.4 was from the CTE, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes,
that
those
was,
combined projects for Brazosport made up the total.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have to confess, I missed that on first pass, I didn't know that.
And interest.
Yeah, and the interest, which is, I think you told me it's 3.5, and we were usually about 2.3, so. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I had the correct numbers and making sure that, we understood that the money is from Brazosport. I was a little surprised about the CT because I didn't pay enough attention, but anyway, I caught up. So, I did ask the question about who's going to be our project manager oversight, and I know Stewart's is the construction manager at risk, but
Taylor will continue to lead not only our maintenance department, but capital projects and bond projects as well.
So we're not having the guy next to him come back or anything like that? I just said, we're not having the guy come back. If it takes that, so anyway. But yeah, does Stewart have any swimming pool expertise? Are they gonna have to bring somebody in, or how's that?
They do.
Yeah, we've also engaged a pool consultant
Okay.
that helps with the design.
So they'll work with Taylor on help oversight, I guess. Have you built a pool for Taylor?
Yeah, I built the Angleton ISD pool. We'll have the same pool contractor doing We have water polo.
State champ.
State champion water polo.
Yeah, but they don't go for it, they just swing it out.
Yeah, they just swim it out.
Okay,
We got another,
yeah, I was just, you know, just to making sure in my mind I was comfortable with all this, so. Okay.
are you comfortable now?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I think it is worth noting that because of funding that we had through those two projects that were under budget, that we were able to do this without going to a bond, which probably would have been very difficult to pass now that they're have to be broken up. These type of facilities have to be broken up and get an individual bond on this item, so pretty grateful that we're able to do this way, and get this taken care of as quickly as we were able to get it taken care of, after the hurricane damaged the building. As previously not stated that way, but it was stated factual that it was damaged by the pool, and that's why we're in this situation. Spent about $1.5 million on that pool. Will last probably 7 years as well, keeping it updated and active for our students too as well. So grateful that we're able to do it this way, but just want to make sure we're clear on that too as well. So.
Rocky?
Steve, I'm sorry I didn't hear, is this pool gonna be done with bond money, did you say?
Yes, sir.
Is that part of the bond money that was,
No,
Steve, now, Boston, and you shaking your head no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's
Thank you very
Brazosport.
much.
just graduate.
On our previous bonds, for the high school, for Brazosport, and then also for the CT building, both of those projects came in under budget, and so, the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, who, watches everything that, every penny, gave authorization, and suggested that we use that money for the construction of this thing, this
All right,
pool.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good job.
So, which is why I like to refer back to the, Ms. Cancino's, her discussion of our, financial integrity report, so, which we've done, which the district has done well. So, any other questions from the audience before we move on? Yes, sir.
What's the plan for the existing pool that's there right now?
It will need to be demolished.
Demolish, filled in, and then we'll see what
We're-
happens with that
Yeah, we're
property.
currently working on a May 2025 bond planning, which would potentially have some funding to cover that.
Okay, yeah, but
Yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, about $1.5 million probably to get rid of it.
There's no way to seal it on the lake, or to fill it in.
On concrete.
Yeah.
That'd be another dinosaur, wouldn't it?
Our new pool's not gonna come up from the underground and have the water pushing it up.
No.
Thank you, Monica. All right. We have a recommendation from the administration, to guarantee the maximum price of $7,622,406 from Stewart Builders for the Brazosport High School. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Been moved by Mr. Dunn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. All right, that carries.
thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Next item that we have under our action items is the resolution to vote for a candidate for the Board of Directors of the Brazoria County Appraisal District. Ms. Cancino.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Not cooperating.
Good evening again. In accordance with Board Policy CCH Legal, the Board of Trustees is entitled to vote for the Appraisal District's Board of Directors. Board members serve 4-year terms and are appointed every odd number year. Although this is not an odd number year, the Board is taking action due to recent changes in state law affecting the composition of appraisal district boards. Under the new legislation, appraisal district boards are now required to have 9 members. Ms. Robinson is a current BCAT board member with 5 terms of tenure. Her prior experience on the board and her experience as a realtor in our community made her an obvious choice for our nomination. Administration has received certification from the chief appraiser of the Brazosport County Appraisal District that Brazosport ISD is entitled to 992 votes for the 5 directors to be elected. It is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees cast the district's 992 votes for Ms. Gail Robinson.
Move for approval.
Any comments before we vote?
I have a question.
Questions?
Did we nominate her, or did we do it a long time ago?
We nominated her, last year. We did not nominate her, we didn't have her
Okay.
nominated, but
Right,
she
okay.
was,
Yeah,
she was still on the ballot.
Yeah. Well, and also on the ballot, isn't the elected official, is Christine Wilson, isn't she,
Yeah,
isn't she an automatic?
yeah, they sent us the ballot with, the ones that are elected and appointed. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the makeup of
I was so.
the new, yeah. So there's 5 appointed,
Sorry to point
3
that one.
elected,
No,
yeah,
yeah.
so they
I didn't understand
they
why.
sent us- yeah, they
There's
sent us,
3 elected now?
yeah, 3 elected, yeah.
There's
They
2.
sent us the ballot with all of them on there,
Yeah, but,
even the elected and the appointed ones, yeah.
oh, I didn't see the elected ones.
Day, is one, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Anyway, so,
They get paid?
different names, some different names.
2. I thought there was just maybe 2.
2 elected?
Three,
But it's 3, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, we need to keep Ms. Robinson on there,
Yeah.
because she's got the experience, because those 3 elected officials, I mean, I'm not sure they have any real estate
Yeah,
experience.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any comments from the audience before we take a vote? All right, we have a recommendation. It's been moved by Mr. Schwartner and seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. All right, that carries. Next item that we have on our agenda are reports. Our first report is the curriculum-based assessment, CBA report by Mr. Cole. Public comment will be allowed on each report. Mr. Cole.
Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy EH Local and District Goal, Brazosport ISD will provide a rigorous, relevant learning experience to ensure that every student is future ready. It is my pleasure to present a report on our fall curriculum-based assessments. At the district level, curriculum-based assessments, or CBAs, indicate relative performance of campuses and classrooms. They provide us with needed information to study and replicate best practices and mobilize resources to support areas for growth in classrooms across the district. CBAs assess only a portion of the scope and sequence. These assessments are subject to change every year as we amend the scope and sequence along with the questions on the assessment annually. The data from CBAs is best used to determine the needs of this year's classrooms on this year's scope and sequence. CBAs are designed to maintain the level of the rigor of the state standards and applicable STAR exams. Questions are selected to align to the rigor of the state standards and the STAR test. As we design CBAs, questions are selected from multiple banks, then aligned to the calendar so that only those items that should have been taught are tested. Teachers are provided with times to vet each CBA, then blueprints and guidelines for testing are provided. Results have already been analyzed by our teachers, campuses, and district teams, with a focus on what do the results mean, why are they important, and what should we do about it now. At the district level, we work to respond to curriculum-based assessments by identifying high and low-performing classrooms. We work throughout the year to visit classrooms to dig deeper into what the data says as we work to identify best practices and replicate those best practices across classrooms to ensure that all of our students are learning at high levels. Each content area has identified and selected certain classrooms this year to provide targeted training for based on our CBA data. Now let me walk you through the data tables that you are about to see. At the elementary level, campuses are arranged horizontally. Then you will see 5 rows below each of the campuses. The first row tells you the percent of students that passed the CBA last year. The third row tells you the percent of students that passed the CBA this year. The second row will show you how a campus did in comparison to the district average last year, while the fifth row shows you how they did compared to the district average this year. This allows us to identify certain campuses that are excelling in particular curricular areas to further explore, or those that we need to further explore that may need additional support. The final row allows us to see how a campus has gained or lost ground between this year and last year compared to the district. This gives us an idea on which campuses we have seen significant growth or declines between this year or last year. At the secondary level, you will see the same information, only this time the campuses are arranged vertically rather than horizontally. We'll start with elementary math. As we look at third grade math, many of our campuses are performing at or near the district average for the current year. We see that Polk Elementary stands out again this year as one of our highest performing campuses at the third grade level, while Ogg Elementary has seen a sharp decline in third grade performance. As we go through the slide deck, it's important for me to share that campus administrators, content, and instructional support are already present at campuses that have shown declines. At the fourth grade level, once again, we see several campuses performing at or near the district average for the current school year. Brannan Elementary and Polk Elementary stand out as some of our top performers, along with Stephen F. Austin. Lanier Elementary School has shown some decline this year over last year when compared to the district averages. Once again, our team is actively engaged with their team. At fifth grade level, we see strong performance at Rasco Middle School and Stephen F. Austin Elementary. T.W. Ogg represents the GT Academy students in the fifth grade who maintain a high level of performance. Both Clute and Lanier remain below the district average. In sixth grade math, we see sharp declines at Freeport Intermediate School. Campus administrators and content and instructional supports are already present, especially with the FIS team and working with it. At the seventh grade level, we once again see a sharp decline at Freeport Intermediate School, along with strong increases at Lake Jackson Intermediate School compared to the district average. In eighth grade math, we see that it mirrors that of seventh grade, with strong increases at Lake Jackson Intermediate and strong declines at Freeport Intermediate School. In Algebra 1, Brazosport High School continues to lead our two traditional high schools, while Brazoswood has maintained performance just below the district average. Our intermediates reflect students who take Algebra 1 in the 8th grade. As we take a closer look at strengths and areas of improvement, we see that problem solving is a key element in math classrooms across the district. Students are being exposed to those rigorous math problems to help prepare them for CBAs, mock, STAR tests, and beyond high school. Some areas of improvement from last year's data have now moved to be strengths for this year. Supporting standards continue to be scaffolded during warm-ups and instruction to help fill learning gaps that may be evident. Students across the district do struggle with multi-step problems, which continues to be supported through our district problem-solving model known as WIPS. We'll now transition to science. In fifth grade science, Lanier Intermediate showed strong gains over last year compared to the district average, while Rasco and Clute maintained performance. Stephen F. Austin still has strong performance over the district average, being 7 points above the district average this year. As we move to our next test at grade level in science, at 8th grade, we explore this and we see that Clute Intermediate leads the district while Freeport Intermediate has shown a sharp decline. As we move to high school in biology, Brazosport High School is our top-performing campus for biology, while Brazosport High School has maintained near prior year performance. In science, teachers are designing hands-on lessons that provide opportunities for problem-solving and critical thinking. Students' curiosity is being engaged while in science classrooms, and this is evident by the questions they are asking the teachers. Students are understanding cause and effect relationships, and are comfortable stating claims and providing evidence and reasoning that supports their claims. The areas for improvement for science within 5th grade is ensuring that students are learning and building their scientific and engineering process skills throughout every lesson as part of our new teams. In 8th grade, we are focusing on our attention on those new teams and adapting lessons to fit these changes. In addition to ensuring that our unit tests are aligned to the new state standards and on target with the expected rigor. Biology has had a redesign of our scope and sequence this year, and we are starting to see progress in this course. We continue to spiral difficult concepts such as homeostasis and cellular transport throughout the year to units in which they are applicable. We'll now transition to reading language arts. As we move to reading language arts, at the 3rd grade level, many of our campuses are close to the district average. We see that Stephen F. Austin, Polk, Brandon lead our elementary campuses, while there appears to have been a significant decline in performance at T.W. Ogg Elementary. In 4th grade, we once again see many of our campuses near the district average. Brandon Elementary leads our district. We also see that Lanier Elementary made significant progress this year compared to last year. Last year, they were 6 points below the district average. This year, they are 2 points above the district average for a total change of 8 points. In 5th grade reading, we see strong performance at Stephen F. Austin Elementary, Rasco Middle School, and T.W. Ogg Elementary. Lanier Elementary made progress over last year, while Clute declined slightly. In 6th grade reading, we see that Stephen F. Austin and Rasco lead the district, while Freeport Intermediate has shown a sharp decline. In 7th grade reading and language arts, Lake Jackson Intermediate leads the district with a sharp decline at Freeport Intermediate School. In 8th grade, we see much the same as in 7th grade. Oh, I skipped one, excuse me. In 8th grade, we see much the same as in 7th grade. Strong performance with LJI and declines at Freeport Intermediate. In English 1, our 2 high schools are tied this year, with Brazosport High School slightly dipping over last year and Brazosport High School increasing. While in English 2, we see that Brazosport High School has shown the strongest performance for the current year. As we explore the strengths in reading language arts, we see across the district they fall into oral and foundational language and comprehension strands of our reading language arts standards. The standards represented by these strengths are repeated in multiple grade levels and are the basis for the most difficult tasks of analyzing and synthesizing. In elementary, students are improving on their understanding of genre characteristics, which is an important in foundational skills such as author's purpose and craft, as well as analysis of text. In 5th grade through 12th grade levels, students are additionally able to identify the characteristics of most genres and the simplest versions of responding to text. The difficulty changes as students apply skills to more and more complex texts in each grade level. As we explore areas of improvement, in elementary, students are being supported with foundational skills in order to read fluently at grade level. Consistent phonics instruction and guided reading continue to support the growth of foundational reading skills. We know that comprehension will gradually increase with the student's ability to read fluently and continue practice. Across all secondary, students struggled with connecting the individual author's moves, such as organization, literary elements, and language, with meaning, such as tone, theme, mood, and voice, and effectively writing about the text. This is the highest level of analysis that continues to grow in complexity as learners grow. It continues to be a focus as part of our Tier 1 instructional priorities. Throughout many lessons, multimodal readers response, and explicit and systematic writing instruction. transition to social studies. As we explore social studies, our tested grade levels are the 8th grade and United States history. Our 8th grade campuses, we see strong performance at Lake Jackson Intermediate School and declines at Clute Intermediate School. Within United States history, Brazosport High School is the top performer. As we explore social studies, it's important to see that many of our strengths on this slide tie into routines that we have established within social studies, such as mapping Mondays and timeline Tuesdays that allow us to spiral review for students throughout the year. The concepts that you see on this slide were challenges for our students and will also continue to be spiraled through the year to ensure student mastery. The ultimate purpose of collecting this data is so that we can take action to ensure that all students in all classrooms are learning at high levels, as we replicate best practices and come alongside to support in areas of needs. From our secondary content specialists regularly coaching new teachers to specialized training for select classrooms based on CBA results, that work is well underway as our team works with campuses, principals, and principal supervisors to ensure student success. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. This information is report only.
Any questions from the board?
I have a comment. This pertains mainly to the social studies. You know, we're in a time now where a kid can go put in a term in a computer, punch a button, and get all the information he wants, copies it down, and doesn't have to learn it. The days when you had to go research it and learn, read what you were going to have to give to the teacher is, we miss that. We're missing the opportunity to research and to learn from doing instead of punching a button.
One of the great things about our social studies program and our social studies coordinator is that there is a very strong emphasis on analytic skills. So being able to look at primary source documents, being able to look at stimuli, and actually analyzing them and pausing to think critically to help build those thinking skills. Because, like you said, anyone can look for anything on the internet, and if you're not evaluating those sources and asking yourselves, are these real sources, are they true sources, that can be detrimental. So we're not only working to teach our students how to continue to research and explore, but also to critically evaluate the sources that they're exploring.
It's our lifetime of hurry up.
Any other comments? Mr. Cole, from the audience? Yes? Yes, sir.
Just in general, on this what's it called? Spreadsheet, that when we use, or what do you guys use the 5th column on the vertical and the last one on the horizontal? I mean, the differences. I see no good reason for that.
So the change in difference.
Am I missing something?
So the change in difference really lets us know how is the campus doing this year compared to last year. So really what that helps me as a leader do is go, ooh, we have something significant has changed at Clute Intermediate School. Something significant potentially has changed at Lake Jackson Intermediate School for them to go, in Clute's case, from 7 points above the district average to 7 points below the district average, which is a change of -14. Something's happened at Clute. So either, in most cases, we already know what's happened at Clute and we're already working on it. So hopefully that column never comes as a surprise to me and my team, but if it does, it lets us dive deeper. The same is true when things go up. You know, normally we know the positive things when we see that big change. So it really highlights for us where are our most significant changes, and are we aware of the expectation that it might have gone down or up depending on what we know is happening on the campus and the teams and the training that they have. It just really kind of helps highlight potential areas.
I'll cogitate on that a little bit, but like on the Freeport, we're
Yes, sir. It's still below the district average, but they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, okay. Would this not be available to look at if you grafted each year? Per school?
Yes, it could be graphed, absolutely.
I mean, would that, then we wouldn't need all these funny numbers of adding up.
So the problem with the raw scores is that so if you see here, we had a raw pass rate of 87% one year and then 74% the next year. The test is not necessarily the same, nor are the cut scores necessarily the same. So if we simply mapped 87, 74, those two numbers are not necessarily comparable, which is why we look at the average compared to the district.
And that was what was put in the board update, which I'm still confused on that because we're saying we're not comparing year to year, but in the next statement, we compare classrooms from year to year. So it was a little, I got a little whacked-o on that one, but that's okay.
Yes,
I say a little whacked-o most of the time. So, I hear what you're saying, that you can't compare last year's and this year's, different tests, different. But is that an indication of us being prepared with new teaks and essentially new students? You know, the cohort is really last year's third, this year's fourth.
Right.
And so I don't see we don't see that to look at. And I think that's still, again, I still think that's a good thing to look at, just to kind of give us an idea of because most of these scores, third up, appear to be less than last year's.
That's a great observation. To that point, one of the things that we did last year is we applied all of the new STAR cut scores from the prior year. So in the 23-24, the STAR test dropped most of its cut scores. The feedback that we received from our teachers and campus administrators were that those cut scores were far too low. So we actually this year got input from our teachers on what those cut scores should be, and the vast majority of our cut scores were increased as a result of feedback from teachers. So even if we gave the same test, which in most cases we didn't, but if we did, those cut scores were increased based on teacher feedback. So
cut
what?
Scores which would affect the
Which would affect,
percentage.
yes, sir, the pass rate.
And that's why he uses the comparison of the change and the difference between the district average.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Well, it's important we realize this is a CBA.
Correct.
We're trying to predict what the scores will be on the standardized test. So in a lot of cases, our CBAs, the rigor is higher this year than last year. And the kids may perform slightly lower on the CBA, but the end result, we're hoping that they perform at an elevated level at the end of the year on the test.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think if you looked at those, I'm not sure that occurred last year. So that's another thing needed to.
Yep.
It didn't appear to me, from a statistical standpoint, that was the case. So
correct, which is, so two key things with the CBAs. Number one is they are not intended to be a predictor of STAR performance because they are a snapshot of one portion of the scope and sequence. And then two, like we had just indicated, the cut scores that were used previously were adjusted this year because they were so low last year because we based them off of STAR cut scores. And once again, the feedback from teachers and administrators was that the cut scores we used last year were far too low, and we needed to reevaluate those and raise those thresholds.
So does that indicate that our 2023, 2024 scores were elevated because we weren't as difficult?
So not necessarily elevated because we weren't as difficult. The truth is, as it relates to a CBA, the cut scores are really arbitrary. They don't matter because the goal is to look at how did our students do on each standard. If we had simply put in the percent score rather than the pass rate, we would get the same meaningful data that would allow us to go, is a certain campus or certain classroom performing higher than expected or lower than expected, and we'd be able to intervene or learn best practices. So the CBA themselves and the cut scores are arbitrary to the information of being able to act on results. So whether we have a cut score that leads us to an 87 or a 74, we're still able to glean valuable information from that. Because when we look at our classrooms, we're able to see our highest performing classrooms, our lowest performing classrooms. Obviously, we want to intervene in our lowest performing and learn from our highest performing classrooms.
The scary part about that is what you said, that, you know, the cut scores are arbitrary. It sounds like an accountability from the state. We'll just make something up.
So, no, certainly.
Yeah, no, I'm just teasing. But, okay,
Kind of like the zone of uncertainty.
yeah, we're zoning in a
So,
little bit.
I guess to that point though, are we better getting a report on areas that schools are doing, or grades slash school slash grades, summarize on what, I mean, you're getting it down to the standard, which is the TEAC, right? Down to that level, right, of which ones are we're doing well and which one we're doing not. Is that, I mean, these percentages are nice to see, but if really in the end, that's the data y'all are looking at. If y'all aren't using this on a regular basis, is there really any benefit to us to see it? Would we be better off discussing, seeing the strategies of the TEACs and things like that that we're doing well on versus the ones we're not doing well on, and how that's being modeled and moved between campuses and all those kind of things?
Yeah.
I mean, we can look at numbers all day long, but
But that's exactly, I assume you answered my question.
Yes, sir, I did.
So, the question I had when I sent it in earlier today and got back was, you know, some examples of what's being done. And it was good. It was good. I haven't finished it yet, but it was good, so. But yeah, that was along the same line of the areas that, you know, where the effort is. And, you know, but you gotta have this to do that. So,
Correct.
Okay. Got I confused myself on that?
when is the next CBA 2? When we do?
Curriculum-based assessment 2 happens near the end of December, and then we have the mock stars, which are the next big one.
So, are these the BOY, MOY,
So
OIs, or whatever?
That hasn't been implemented yet, right?
it depends on what question you're asking. At one point in time, this was called the beginning of year CBA.
Yeah.
We also have beginning of the year screeners.
Yeah.
Beginning of the year screeners happened in August. The beginning of the year CBAs happened in October. That was confusing to have both things called beginning of year, one in August, one in October. So we changed the CBAs to 1 and 2, so that we weren't doing something beginning of the year in October.
So we're only gonna have 2 CBAs?
Generally speaking, we have 2 CBAs in 10 areas, yes, sir.
Then the mock.
How are we transferring, pick school, whatever, elementary school X is doing whatever really, really, really well. How are we taking that and moving that to other schools?
So that's great. So there's the simplest answer to that is we're going into those classrooms, we're seeing what they're doing. Our campus, our content team, our campus principal supervisors, and myself are having conversations with those principals. It's the whole campus, and we're learning from what they're doing. And most of the time, what we're seeing is the classrooms that are excelling the most are the ones that are using district resources of highest fidelity and are using the Tier 1 instructional priorities with the highest fidelity. So most of the time, what we find is they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and their kids are excelling because of it, right? So occasionally we'll find, they've been doing X, Y, Z, and it's really functional, and we want to take that and share it, right? But most of the time, it's people doing what we expect them to do. So really what it boils down to is we can utilize those classrooms as places for others to go see it in real life, like, you know, sometimes being able to see that makes a big difference. And other times it's just a reassurance that, hey, we need to pull along those classrooms that may not yet be equipped with the tools that we would hope that they would be equipped with and using, and train them and get them the experience utilizing those to improve student performance.
In general, when a classroom, because you get this down to the classroom, you get it down to the teacher level, right?
Yes, sir.
From that perspective. In general, when a classroom and/or is doing well with whatever criteria, whatever grade, whatever subject matter, is that typically good across multiple classrooms for that same school in general, or is that institutionalized within that grade level, or is that a teacher by teacher
It's a little of both. You can definitely see when teachers are planning well together and functioning off of the same plans. They tend to be grouped together.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And then there's other times where that's not the case.
Yeah.
So, is action being taken when we see the non-planning together? As best we can?
As best we can, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That should be a high priority.
The accountability on the bottom end needs to step up, it appears to me, because we need to have an idea what's going on. They know what's going on, and we're not fixing it, then there's an accountability issue there that needs to be addressed.
And most of the time, I would share that the classrooms that we find that need the most support is kind of like a person that's learning a new sport. Most of the time, it's people that are newer to the profession that need someone to come alongside them and show them. And so we have those supports and we're deploying them, and it's just a matter of gaining that practice and continuing to have those supports. Our campus principals are great about if there's people not working in the best interest of students, they are moving those people along.
Jennifer's working on having more experience.
Right. Yeah.
Any other comments from the board?
Go ahead, Bo.
Oh, yeah, I got more of that.
Any from the audience? Yes, sir.
That's very good, deal you brought to us. I couldn't help but notice that Stephen F. Austin was above average in a lot of that, stuff that you were bringing up. So I'm just saying, we would be open arms to, the school would open their arms if they wanted to bring some of those, students out, and, we'd be glad to share that with you. Just a thought. Thank you.
It's a testament to smaller classrooms too, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
14 students instead of 22.
Wouldn't it make more sense to compare your CBA 1 to your CBA 2 instead of year over year? You've got a different group of kids and everything else?
Yes, sir, and actually, once we have CBA 2, we do that, exactly that, because that makes more sense, 100%.
Same kids,
same kid, same year,
Are we
yes, sir,
progressing,
100%.
not progressing?
Yes.
Year over year, you think
I got
about
last
changes
year's
in clientele.
Yeah, it definitely is a better comparison. We still have the fifth column, but it's still working.
We get that report.
It's just for him.
Thanks,
I'll be happy to cut it off of your report next time, I will keep it from mine.
I just can't, sometimes, I still can't make the addition on some of them, but that's okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Oh, thank you.
Next on our reports are the board committee reports. Do any of our board members have comments on their activities?
No, I did, Mr. Massey and I were able, and Mr. Redden, and Mr. White, we attended the OG Red Ribbon Parade, and I think Mr. Massey got a comment about, do all schools do this? And he said, no, just DWI, so that made my day from that standpoint, so it was a fun time.
Anybody else? All right, hearing none, then our next item on our agenda, our next regular scheduled board meeting will be December the 16th, 2024, at 6 o'clock right here. Next thing we have on our agenda is our executive session. Executive session may be called for the purposes permitted by the Texas Opens Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Sections 551.071 through 551.146. Sections 551.071 is consultation with attorneys. Sections 551.071 on any agenda item. Sections 551.72 for the purpose of discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Sections 551.074 personnel matters, including appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, dismissal, or complaint. Sections 551.082 for the purpose of considering discipline of a public school child or complaint or charge against personnel. The board shall return shortly, if you're still here.
You still have a chance.
We now return from executive section. The time is 8:13. Unless we have any objections, we will stand adjourned.
I heard,